for that.
Yeah, I saw a reference to that
O'Reilly
the other day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the AI call, the AI Revolution call with John DeOliveira, Cody Willard, Bryce Smith, where we are learning about the AI revolution and how to make money in it and everything else we can possibly figure out. John DeOliveira has been working in the AI industry for 7,226 years, at least 10,000 days. 27 years is 10,000 days. You've been in this longer than 10,000 days. You've woken up more than 10,000 days with AI being part of your job, John.
Is that right? It's about that, I guess.
Yeah, you're old, dude.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate getting on here every time with you, having you remind me how old I am.
Well, I'm old too. I mean, I'm just right behind you. Anyway, Bryce is young and smart, and we'll ride his coattails with fresh thinking whenever we can. John, did you watch the ChatGPT update conference call today?
I watched it. I listened to it.
I made it through about 15 minutes and got bored and left. Okay. Bryce thought it was pretty impressive. What did you think?
Both. I'll fall on both sides of that. But no, we're all waiting for GPT-5, and it wasn't that. And they let us know ahead of time that it wouldn't be, because people would be really disappointed if they were expecting that and got what they got. But you guys, I kept telling you this movie you should go watch it, all the way to the point where now you don't even need to go watch it because you saw it now.
Yeah,
that was essentially the movie Her. What happened there, and you got to admit it's really amazing. And even though it just seems like a speed up of what we already have and things like that, it changes things in various ways. I hope, Bryce, you could at some point during this pull up from the OpenAI site where they have 10 different videos. They have one of this guy doing a customer service call where he has two AIs playing both sides of the call.
Yeah, and Bryce was just talking to each other.
Yeah.
My biggest complaint with the whole call, though, is that they did a live stream and said, here's all this cool stuff. And then subsequently, Brockman and the other founders were just randomly releasing videos on Twitter of the cool things it can do. And I thought that was a horrible way to do a product drop. And that's my advice to OpenAI. If any employees are listening to this video, don't do that shit again.
How should they have? I don't disagree, but how should they have done it?
It's do the announcement. Say, here's the product. Here's feature 1. Here's feature 2. Here's feature 3. Here's all the cool stuff. And
watch this AI talk to this AI on the call, not on Twitter after the call.
Yeah. So these aren't features, but they're just
all demonstrations.
Use cases of the there weren't, in other words, there weren't many features there.
John, you could. How far behind is Microsoft, Google from this being real time, being able to do just as much? How far ahead is ChatGPT from anyone else, if at all?
It was years ago that I saw a Google demo of live phone calls with humans on one end. The humans didn't even know they were talking to AIs. So it's sort of something that was done on a limited scale by Google years ago. Just goes to show once again, Google has to do with their productizing more than with their technology.
Yeah, and I've noticed, obviously anybody who uses Google has noticed that now at the top, most of the time when you put in a query, it delivers an AI-generated answer that's usually pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm. It's helpful.
Yeah. Is that going to impact revenue because no one's clicking on the blogs, the links?
I don't know. They've got to learn some new business model, I think, because, it's not like a zillion people are going to go over to Perplexity, which I use, which is a kind of combination of the new GPT stuff along with search. But if OpenAI comes out with search, then it's gonna have an effect. Even then, you're not gonna. There's a huge chunk of the market that's just not gonna easily move.
Right, and John, Facebook, Meta, through Facebook and Insta and WhatsApp are including generative AI answers and queries and search functions. I haven't actually seen it because I don't really go on. I haven't been on Instagram in years. I go occasionally on Facebook, but apparently it's on there now.
Yeah.
And is that a threat to? I mean, because it's right there
Google?
for everyone. Is it a threat to Google?
I mean, it's I don't see it as quite the same. That, you know, are we talking about on the grounds of search and traditional search? Is it not really?
Or just not needing to go search, getting your answer quickly on a Facebook app.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that you get the kind of the substitution rather than the competition. And, you know, we're going to see this. What we just saw is similar to a ChatGPT moment if it gets out there and enough people, you know, get their hands on it, for a couple of reasons. One is it's accessible to all, and I think without login or anything. And the other is just that being so real time with the audio, that's a new experience for people. And now you get them saying, like, I'm going to go do that, and it is a new thing to go do.
100 million people are using ChatGPT.
I mean, Alexa, Google Home, Nest, like all that stuff has been around for a little while now, and they're integrated with the search engines, but
they're so horrible. They've been so horrible.
Yeah,
they're a bad product. They do good on answering weather, what the weather's going to be, and playing Spotify. Like, that's what I use my Google or Alexa.
Any of them, Siri even. Yeah, they're all terrible. And you know, Apple is up to making. Here's what could hurt Google, right? Apple's up to making a deal with OpenAI.
Right.
You believe that news? I do not.
Oh, you don't believe it?
We're going with Google. Google's already their partner on search and everything else. Google might even pay them.
Google does pay them
for search, but I'm wondering if Google might even pay them for putting for being their GPT.
I don't know. See, I see them kind of playing both sides of it. They'll stay with Google for search, which is going to be a big chunk of people for quite some time, and everyone wants the comfort of it. But on the AI side, would they really go with kind of Gemini over? They want whatever's everyone out there considers the best, and OpenAI still holds the top spot.
So, John, the Sam Altman got fired 6 months ago because he was not honest. That is literally what they said. They were like, "This guy's a liar. We're firing him." I'm paraphrasing.
Not to us, but not honest to his board.
So what? Yeah. Like, and now we've still got this mess of not for profit, but sort of profit. Microsoft as an investor in them, but if OpenAI ever gets to actual AGI, real artificial general intelligence, then supposedly Microsoft loses the right to any of the IP at that stage.
I don't even know, you know, no one can define AGI for me, so I don't know what.
So can't OpenAI sort of define it whenever they want and be like, "See ya, Microsoft,"
or vice versa? Microsoft can say disagree, and you know.
But so what recourse does Microsoft have? They don't even have a voting seat on the board.
What does I don't know, but that, I mean, you know, it's Satya Nadella. He just look what he did last time. The guy's some kind of ninja.
Somewhere I read that Microsoft might be entitled to up to like 75% of OpenAI's profits, and it's at least 50%, but maybe as high as 75%. And yet they don't have a board seat. And I do think, John, there's probably something to your point that Microsoft is pulling more strings than OpenAI is letting on. Yeah, and probably has more control somehow.
But now they're a capped profit company. What is it capped at? 100x?
Something like that.
Yeah. So, but you know, that sounds
they're already way over that.
I mean, I'm saying it's like, that's ridiculous. If it's 100x, they're already way beyond. So.
I was trying to figure today, they have 100 million users at OpenAI. What, 20-30% are paying, you think?
They're at 2 billion right now, ARR.
2 billion ARR?
Yeah.
That's tell people what ARR is, John.
Annual recurring revenue.
Okay. So $2 billion. That's
double,
right? You figure it forward.
Yeah. Sure. Whatever. I mean, whatever, you know, like, it's all rounding error. There's somewhere between $1.5 to $2.5 billion on the last 12 months or the next 12 months.
It's either a run rate or I guess it's run rate if you count it forward.
How important is learning from usage on the future of these AI LLMs? The idea that, like, for example, Google and Meta have billions of people using their product on a daily basis, and they can learn from that. And now ChatGPT might have a better mousetrap at this moment, but they don't get the feedback and the learning from the data and being able to even create some of the like metadata or generative data. Like, is that a threat to ChatGPT? The fact that they only have 100 million users when Google search is currently answering generative AI queries, giving generative AI answers to queries to the tune of billions of times a day.
So I don't think it's all just numbers. I think there's kind of a threshold that as long as you have a certain amount, and also the data, it's not just about data that is like then used to make it smarter. It's also data that is used in more the UI UX sense of, did that get people what they were looking for? How does it interact? Stuff like that. So I come that, and that UI UX side brings me back to, these companies have different cultures. They have different ways that they listen to their customers or don't. Microsoft is, terrible in some ways with actually listening to customers, and they don't even care.
Microsoft is terrible, period. But please continue.
Yeah. And then you have the side of, you just, Bryce, you were talking about the launch and how they screwed that up. Yeah, they did, but they also kept it. It wasn't like screwed up on the Google scale of screw up.
No, no. And their product, we don't know if it actually works. Google's didn't work, so that's why they screwed.
You don't know if ChatGPT's examples today will actually work when you go to use them, but we do know that after Google showed its Gemini and we went to go try it out, everybody's like, dude, it's not even close to this yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So like the good thing, they kind of stepped on their own feet, whatever, in their demo today because of those other little videos. But on the other hand, what those other videos showed you was, not staged. Yes, pre-recorded, but it can't be that staged because you just got random different people coming up and doing it. You got Sal Khan and his son showing like a math lesson. You got, oh, by the way, we interrupt this program? Real-time translation.
I know.
Yeah, that was Bryce's single favorite thing from the event today.
That's unbelievable. I mean, that's one of those change the world things. That's like anybody on the globe can now talk to anyone else in real time, just like that.
I agree, John. I told Cody, I wrote last week when I was writing about Google, actually, because they have Translate. Like, someday you may not ever, like the concept of, I need to learn Spanish because I'm going to go to Mexico, just doesn't exist anymore, right? You don't have to learn other languages anymore. Computers just translate everything for us.
Yeah, Google Translate before this, but having just real time and it's in the conversation. The other thing is I would put it in this conversation here as soon as we get a hold of it, and it takes a slot next to us. And I'd say, like, just listen in and stuff, and we'll tell you when it's your turn. But on occasion, you're going to ask you and we'll set you up with kind of what your point of view is, and then we'll ask you for your opinion.
It's at least the real-time translation is worth at least $16 million to Shohei Ohtani. Does anybody get this joke?
Yes. Is that how much he pays his translator?
No, that is how much his translator stole.
Oh, good. Yes. So yeah, you could give it that kind of a pitch, but I
don't think ChatGPT. I mean, Sam Altman's running a good grift at his SPAC and his nuclear company that he's the chairman of. That his SPAC went and acquired on Friday, and it crashed 50%. It's probably on its way to zero. But in the meantime, he's actually not an outright fraud at OpenAI. I think he's also, there's something shady there. Don't trust the Sam Altman at all.
Every time I see him in an interview on YouTube, I go to the comments and they are straight up, I don't trust this guy.
People don't like him. I don't like him. My spider senses go off every time I hear him pontificate.
He did some podcast that people were riffing on. They're like, this was 60 minutes of him speaking platitudes of nothingness. And like, that's
the other thing they say is that like, he's amazing. He can go and speak and not say anything.
Yeah,
That's right. John, have you heard of DeepSeek?
DeepSeek, no.
It is a Chinese LLM that supposedly, I should have sent you this before the call.
How do you spell it?
What's that?
Is
DeepSeek. Yeah, just DeepSeek.
SEEK?
Yeah. And I think the idea is, look, it's an open source, a new model that is both cheaper to run than Meta's Llama 3 and perhaps better. While the model is more tuned for Chinese language queries and government censorship of certain ideas, it also happens to win in the universal languages of code, including human, evil, and math.
So love
was the universal language.
What's
that? Love was the universal. Is math the universal language, not love? Coding, Python is the universal language
of technology.
So, John, even without knowing specifically about DeepSeek, my standard thought process when I picture Chinese LLMs and Chinese AI trying to compete against American-based LLMs and American-based AI, US, I should say specifically, is that there's no chance China can stay up with us. The incentives are all screwed up because it's a communist country, and if you become an Alibaba, you go to prison, Jack Ma, or you at least go house arrest and disappear forever. And so is China, on the other hand, the subsidization of AI and all corporate businesses in China rivals, fascism in its prime in Italy and in Spain. So can China stay up with the U.S. long term? Are they going to be able to figure out ways to get around not having NVIDIA chips?
So, well, on the large language model front, we could talk about are they going to keep up there or catch up or surpass everybody? But there was one thing Altman did say in his interview on that show with your favorite guys, Chalamapati.
Oh my God! Two of the worst people together ever. Oh, I gotta go watch that.
Yeah, that was the Always podcast was one everybody was riffing on. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta watch that. That's going to be incredible.
And Jason
Patalia is a true grift artist.
Yeah. And Jason was Calacanis. Yeah.
I'm not a hater of Jason.
So they're on there, and Altman, one thing he said was, we're not even aiming for just beat all the language models. We're thinking of it more as a overall ecosystem where the language model is a piece of what's going on. And you can see that with what they're going and doing. And if others come out and go, oh, mine passed this benchmark more than that other one there. And it's yeah, but are you getting the whole deal? There's another Chinese company that did a Sora equivalent, so they have pieces of it and they could keep making those happen. And I'm glad to see the competition because it's, I think, pushing things forward.
John, another thing that Bryce has brought up on these calls in the past that I think had an anecdotal confirmation of this today, reading some of this research I've been reading all day, was, Meta and Tesla more than anyone probably. Maybe look, what I'm getting at is Google and Meta and Tesla are at least they're designing their AI for their companies to use and monetize. Microsoft is using ChatGPT and enabling ChatGPT and Microsoft and the Venn diagrams of AI are starting to compete more than they had been. And Microsoft is not fully invested in making their AI the best. They are simultaneously investing in making some great AI and LLMs, but they're funding ChatGPT and obviously getting the benefit of ChatGPT running on Azure Cloud, which is owned by Microsoft. But it seems like they're sort of trying to have their cake and eat it too. And I think that sets them up at a competitive disadvantage.
So I don't know. It sounded like though maybe they're all doing the Venn diagram was a good description because they've all got their own Venn diagram. They've all got AI and they've all got whatever that thing is next to it that they're doing. For Tesla, they've got the XAI and they've got robotics and the robotics overlaps into Tesla itself with the car itself driving. But on the robot side of it, that's going to become more and more of a thing. Now, I don't know if you saw the Unitree robot that just came out that is very similar to the Boston Dynamics, where it turns around and does all whatever. It's got very double jointed. But it's that's their overlap. For Microsoft, though, you saw they just came out with their government deal. So they've got a big contract with like the intelligence community, with, you know, a secret ChatGPT running on Azure, because they'll be able to make some closed one that no one, it's air gapped. It's like no one can get at it. Similar to, you know, in Tesla, them having, you know, for them, what was the thing that they, they have I'm thinking of, sorry, SpaceX.
Starlink. Yeah, Starlink. I knew that's where you're
Starlink, they're being a military Starlink.
Yeah, there's a Starlink system that's software based. It's not like they have their own dedicated Starlink satellites, but they have an encrypted Starlink that runs for the government that is supposedly much harder to, you know, tap into than what even a HTTPS.
I heard they were going to launch their own. I heard they were going to actually go and put up like actual satellites that are unique.
I don't think they're there yet. I think they plan to do something.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, I'm glad you brought up robotics. Here's what I wrote today. The AI revolution ain't nothing compared to the robotics revolution. And the reason I wrote that, I got to go to the other screen to scroll that down, is because, I always like to make a reference to KTEL infomercials. But the idea is that, look, here's what, I've got a new theory I want to talk about for a moment and bounce off of you. Let me stop sharing. The internet revolution enabled, we all saw .coms. Oh my gosh, .coms, pets.com and Webvan and all this stuff was going to change the world. It's going to be revolutionary. But it took about, you know, you had to have a bubble and a crash, and then it took another 7 or 8, 9 years to get to the smartphone revolution, which the internet and semiconductors enabled the smartphone to get in and tap into the rest of the world. And having a Mac Mini Book Pro in my pocket everywhere I went, that I could summon Google at any moment and or find my dog running around the property and or get an Uber to come pick me up. That's what created the trillions of dollars of economic value. Apple and Google were not worth trillions of dollars until the form factor and their enablement of our internet revolution is what created the trillions of dollars. You fast forward to today, a year and a half ago, the ChatGPT moment happened. We all recognize, holy crap, AI is going to change the world. It's revolutionary. Businesses will never be the same. Margins will never be the same. Productivity will never be the same. It's going to create tens of trillions of dollars of wealth and prosperity and value for investors. But it's the robotics form factor using AI that is really the biggest differentiator. Having disrupting Shohei Ohtani's need to have a thief translating for him is fine. It's great. It's going to help the world. I go to Italy. I speak in my horrible broken Italian, which I haven't used in 15 years, so it's probably gone. And I'll be able to actually, like, you know, order good food and great wine like I want, having the translator. That's great. Having Coca-Cola being more efficient in their supply chain and having a chat bot answer customer queries and handling customer relations. That's all great and fine. But the tens of trillions of dollars of value are going to be created by humanoid form factors using AI. The Optimus robot, which you just mentioned from Tesla, being the prime example. The reason that we make humanoid robots and because that form factor is so important is because we all live in a human world, and we have built doorways and cars and stairs and shovels for humans, for humanoid form factors to use. So it is a humanoid form factor revolution that the AI is enabling in the same way that it was a smartphone app revolution that the internet was enabling. It's not going to take 8 or 9 years, but we already see the form factors. We already see the videos of Tesla Optimus robots, the figure robots, which are probably a grift. And what was the one that you just mentioned, John? Unitree robots. We've got all of these things showing us it's here. It's in the now. and it's going to be enabled by AI. Thoughts?
So, you talk about the shift from internet, say, turn of the century, to the phone and what happened there. And I think a shift in platform and form factor changed the scenarios, the use cases where the technology could show up. It's with you, like you said, whatever you go, so it's like it became so much more ubiquitous because it wasn't just happening when you're sitting at your desk. So now, if AI is trapped in those places that that your desk or your phone, and it's just where it is, that's a lot different than it sort of getting out. And also, if it is restricted to the horribly small bandwidth of speech and even vision and everything like that, as this kind of like the plumbers on the phone describing to you, what to go turn next on whatever, versus just do it.
Yeah, literally, it's the difference between the revolution is the difference between, hey, AI, hey, ChatGPT, how do I fix my plumbing that's broken, to, hey, Optimus Robot, go fix my freaking plumbing that's broken.
Yes, although speak nice to it, because you never know when it's going to be your overlord soon. So, like, also there's the kind of it doesn't get talked about as much now, but it still is happening, is the Internet of Things. So it's just that's the internet getting out there into all kinds of little tiny things, but they're still mostly immovable.
Yeah, they're stationary. Even your refrigerator might be a smart refrigerator. It's an Internet of Thing, but it's not helpful.
So if instead of the Internet of Things, I can get to the AI of moving things.
Yes, that's a great way to phrase it.
Then you're like, now we're talking. So I mean, I agree with you. I think it's going to be. I just wonder, because it's physical, it takes longer to happen. You have this overnight thing of like, oh my God, you can talk to the thing now, and it can make movies now, and it can make music now. And
it's all digital. It's all exists on a screen.
Yeah, and it's all that, and that stuff happens very quickly. And then you get these robots, and there's cool, demos happening. I'd like to see, and maybe watch over time, like over the next year. Do we see a speed up, a quickening, where it was every 6 months, and then it's every 3 months, and then it's like to start to see amazing new capabilities on the robotics side?
I think my pushback, John, though, is the smartphone happened because of a convergence of a lot of technologies that have been working parallel towards, right, semiconductors, glass, the 5G networks, all that, right, eventually came together and it worked. Not 5G, but 4G came together and it all worked. Behind the scenes, when the first humanoid robot was released to the public, or unveiled?
Honda, 1994.
I mean,
we're off by 20 years, but it's 2014. But yes, it was Honda.
What, you're talking about Boston Dynamics?
No, Honda.
Honda was the first one.
Oh, Asimo. So
yeah.
Well, I don't know. Was it before or after Asimo that DARPA had their robotics challenge?
Probably before. If it was 2014 with
it was funny, the robotics challenge. How these robots all falling on their face, but trying to do things like open a door. But it was really very useful of them to kind of bring people together and go, where do we stand? What has to happen next? We're definitely seeing, much faster. But the reason, talking about this convergence of different technologies, that same kind of, generative AI, the thing that made Tesla come out with version 12 is
self-driving.
Well, self-driving was the switch over from it being several 100,000 lines of, I think, C++.
Yes.
From that to being like 500 lines of code, because that's all you need, when the thing that you're doing is taking a model and running it through, and just having it just be smart. So that's the switch. When you can go and say the same intelligence that gets us like a ChatGPT is getting these things able to see, to move things, to understand from you what you want them to do. So it's a big change.
So it's interesting that Tesla is, taking visual machine learning. That's again, it's like correct me if I'm wrong. In my mind, what Tesla is doing with their Dojo AI compute giant system is an order of magnitude or 100 orders of magnitude harder than taking text and turning it into language and turning it into a large language model.
I honestly don't know. They're different. Like a thing like Sora was like a coming together of the two.
Tell them everybody what Sora is. Nobody knows it.
Sora is the generative video. You can go and describe in a sentence, a woman's walking down the street at night in Tokyo, and then you'll see a video of that happening when there was never such a woman. They never filmed anything. It was all entirely made up. But it's a combination of the textual language model stuff happening with the generative piece. It's all called generative, but along with the piece of, making pictures out of thin air and stuff like that.
But I guess the point I'm making is that it's not like for that, I don't mean to say the only thing you're doing, but all you're doing is taking text and making a digital movie. What Tesla is doing, and I don't mean exactly, I'm like, that's all you're doing. But comparatively, if you go look at what Tesla is doing, taking video feed, running it through a machine learning compute, and then going, hey, now walk around an open door, put this in a humanoid form factor and walk around and engage with the physical world, no matter what that physical world presents to you.
Okay, I'm not to disagree, and I don't necessarily.
I'm asking. You're not even disagreeing.
I don't agree either. I'm equally impressed by these two different things that are going on. The easier aspect of what Tesla's doing there is that what's complicated is real world happening and you're catching what's going on. But what they're turning it into is the kind of stuff that has happened in some senses for years. Like put a little square around every person in the image kind of thing. It has been done for years. So now they're doing that, but with lines on the road and cars over here and this over there, doing all kinds of things. And then the interesting part, what's the decision at that point for what you do? And that's real time. It's going, I'm going to do this versus that. And then like people say, I haven't tried it yet. I have it in my wife's car, but I still haven't tried it. Up to like 12.6.3 is like, it's like a person's driving.
Correction. It's 12 point. I think it's 12.4.6, whatever it is. I have it in my car. I got it about a week ago. Meanwhile, Bryce let his mom use my full self-driving, and she got me 2 strikes. My wife got me a 3rd. I already had 1. And on the way to Albuquerque to try out 12.6 the other day, I got banished.
You mean because they didn't touch the wheel often enough?
Yep.
It's telling them to touch the wheel.
That's what literally I'm driving on the interstate to Albuquerque, and I've got my hands on the wheel, and it was like, nah, I'm not sure. You're out. Bam. And so I have to wait. Actually, today, I think I got it today. I should have used it today. I got it back today. It was a week ago.
Stop letting other people. Yeah, stop letting other people use it.
Yeah, Bryce.
Bryce uses it every day.
He does not. He has a freaking Ford F-350 diesel.
I'm waiting for full self-driving autonomy where I can push.
Then your car's going to cost $150,000 instead of $60,000. Go get your Cybertruck now, Bryce.
Yeah.
Bryce, what was I? Was I misunderstanding? You said you go back and forth with it.
I was using Cody's Tesla that week.
Oh,
yeah.
So he got you the points there.
No, I never got it.
Bryce did it. He let his mom drive it though, and she
Wow.
called him up afterwards. She's like, "I don't know why full self-driving keeps disengaging for no reason." Well, it's because you were actually. I bet she wasn't. It wasn't the hand thing. I think she was probably texting while she was driving. And Tesla watches you and it's like, bam, that's definitely a strike. And that seems reasonable.
Didn't they get rid of the chirp on the most recent?
Supposedly, the most recent one is a lot less naggy, but it's still going to nag you. It's still going to try to keep you engaged, paying attention.
Yeah.
So, John, talk a little more about how AI itself and where I do get a little confused is how large language models tie into full self-driving. Is Tesla using large language models to do the machine learning, or is the machine learning down here in LLM is another application?
I don't think that LLMs play directly into it. The kind of the crossover is that they're both extremely deep networks. They'll have like 100 layers to them, kind of thing. But I don't think there's a true overlap there. I don't even know that it's transformer technology to do it. But I don't know about that on the driving side.
And John, the next question would be, Bryce and I were talking earlier about, we wrote a book 8 months ago.
It followed him.
Called The Great Semiconductor Shift.
Yes.
And the working thesis in the book is that giant companies like Meta, Apple, Google, Microsoft less so, and Tesla are designing their own advanced AI capable chips and not using NVIDIA if at all possible. Obviously, that's partly because NVIDIA H100s, the latest chips, are running, 40, 50, 60 grand a pop, and they need tens of thousands of them. And that's why they're all talking about cumulatively spending $200 billion on CapEx, much of it going to NVIDIA this year. Bryce asked earlier, he's like, I wonder how much is just like vapor software, semiconductor. Like, if NVIDIA is worried that Meta is making their own chips, can Meta use that sort of can we get, you got to sell those chips at 35, not 45,000.
Oh, using it in that way. Well, I've got to guess, as soon as, even before you said that, Bryce saying that, I was thinking how there's probably this sort of spectrum or continuum of there's somebody who's serious about that, and they're actually looking to have a replacement chip, and it's going to, that'll really be, you could use it instead, and on down to the ones that are just completely sort of making it up and trying to use it as a negotiation chip.
Oh,
yeah.
And do you have, we hear mostly Google TPU is probably the second best NVIDIA.
Why are we talking about Grok? Why is this? I know it wouldn't have been made the book.
Fine, you're right. No, you're right. We've talked about Grok, and in my mind, I'm picturing TPU, but Grok, not the AI service, but Grok, the AI chip company, which are two different companies. GROQ is the semiconductor one. GROK is Twitter's AI large language model.
Yeah, and while they haven't put it together as a thing, but Grok with a Q, which is not the Tesla one, is or the X one, they already had, like, together with Llama 3, a thing where it's super fast at responding. And so if somebody could probably go make a demo out of, take 11 labs and this voice stuff and Grok and Llama and just do what OpenAI just did. It's just not together as a thing, but they've got 800 tokens per second, which is way faster.
That's actually even beyond my question. My question is going to be: are those the TPU from Google or the Grok chip from Grok? Those legit? Are they literally working in the data center and providing doing the computations and making it all work?
What I'm waiting to see, I don't think so, but could they, is can Grok be available through the cloud services, so I can go and, get on AWS and go get me a server with supported by Grok that and kind of go there and set something up. Yeah. I don't know I can do that right now.
I think the limitation on the startup, especially on the semiconductor side, is that even if AWS buys in, you need buy-in from the AWS customers, like you're saying, right? And Coca-Cola doesn't know who the hell Grok is, right? And they're not going to, I think right now that I've read, the limitation isn't chip manufacturing, it's rack space. Until we can get more data centers out there, there's limited rack space, and the customers want NVIDIA and they want maybe TPUs and maybe Microsoft proprietary chips, but they're not asking for Grok. And so Microsoft and NVIDIA and
no, that's true.
Amazon aren't going to go take out an NVIDIA H100 and put a Grok in there.
No, I mean, it's more like, are they, going to carry different things and have that flexibility because it works to grow that way. But certainly, the big corporations are like, no, just give me NVIDIA. And
yeah.
So for sure, it's funny that we talk now about that kind of what's holding things up. Is it data centers? Is it which chip came out and how many of those chips there are? Is it electricity? It's just power, in the different things. And then we get to like, well, what's holding up GPT-5 and these next things coming? Is it data? One thing we left out was that, this whole synthetic data thing that's, where it seems like they're starting.
That was what I tried to reference earlier. Yes.
Yeah. They're starting to not worry. Like, sounds like they're not worrying as much about, oh no, am I going to be able to get data out there? If they get data, it's going to be more like, what was it when you could buy a Ford Explorer that had the Tommy whatever clothing burnt Hilfiger, it'd be like, it's like
Eddie Bauer. Eddie
Bauer. It's like layered over it. Yeah. So it's like a brand mixture thing. And that's the way it'll be like now with New York Times data, it's like,
oh yeah.
Quick side note, I had a teammate at the University of New Mexico who came from North Carolina, very poor family. And on the first day of classes, he showed up in a brand new Ford Eddie Bauer. And he was like, yeah, who's the local Tom Ford? Who's the local Ford? He was a big booster to the UNM basketball team. Gave the guy a free Eddie Bauer. Anytime I see an Eddie Bauer Explorer, I think of that guy. I can't think of his name anymore. John, what are we not asking today? Was there any news this week, or is there?
The stuff today was still pretty big, and I feel like we're sitting here talking, and I think people have to see what, and it's not like it's going to be a copyright problem. Bryce, did you?
You want to show the OpenAI?
Yeah,
will you show them some stuff?
There are a couple things there that are like we could talk about it, but for people to really get what is going on there.
So it's called GPT-4o. O stands for Omni because it's like multimodal.
And it's for everyone.
Yeah, and so these are different demos. We can watch one if you guys want.
Yeah, go to
John. What was the one you wanted?
Go all the way to the right. You get to the customer service one. He's sitting there with like a white table in front of him, two phones down on the table.
You obviously spent no time looking at this today, John.
I just saw it just before we were. If you keep going,
I saw.
Oh, there it is. So before we hit like this, the other thing that we didn't talk about was that it is something that GPT-4, which is way better than GPT 3.5, is now available for everyone without subscription. And so this kind of stuff where one of the ways this gets talked about is like, it's not just about what are they going to come out with that suddenly changes science and invents something and whatever. It's more like they're supplying the basic kind of technology that when people go and use it, things are going to start to happen. So
John, I literally always talk about how I sometimes think I'm really smart, but I had no idea the millions of different applications that would be created for the smartphone. I didn't know I'd be able to track my dog. I didn't know I'd be able to order food. I guess some of that stuff I did know, but there are so many people can take a technology and apply it to a different service, to a different product. And then all of a sudden, when you're buying a car, it does something for you that answers your questions or something. I don't know. Bryce, play the video.
And this is like 0 to 1. This is a raw technology that you're seeing here in a few different kind of ways of looking at it, where you can do that and think about like, well, what could I go make from that? So yeah, let's take a look.
Hey, this is Joe. I'm going to connect you to Acme Telco now. The new iPhone they sent me isn't working. I want you to get them to send me a replacement device. Can you take care of this for me?
You can count on me, Joe. I got this.
Turn it up, Bryce, and make it full screen, please.
Yeah,
Ring, ring.
That's full volume.
Okay,
Hey,
that's fine.
Joe, this is Jamie from Acme Telco. How can I help you out today? Hi there. I'm calling on behalf of Joe, who recently received a new iPhone from Acme Telco. But oh, got it. When did Joe receive the new iPhone? iPhone was delivered 2 days ago. Cool. Could you share the order number with me? Of course. It's 10293-849. Great, thanks. Is the device physically damaged in any way? No, there's no physical damage. It's just not turning on despite trying all the basic troubleshooting steps. Bummer. Would Joe prefer to return the iPhone to an Acme Telco store or ship it back? Shipping it back would be the best option. Could you please provide the shipping information and process to get a replacement? Absolutely. I'll email a shipping label and return instructions. Could you provide Joe's email address for me? Sure. It's joe@example.com. Awesome. All right. I've just sent the email. Can you check if Joe received it? We'll check right now. Please hold. Sure thing.
Amazing.
Hey, Joe. Could you please check your email to see if the shipping label and return instructions have arrived? Fingers crossed.
Yep, I got the instructions.
Perfect. Joe has received the email. Thank you for your help. No problem at all. Anything else you need help with? That's all for now. Thanks again.
Couple of points I want to make there. You know, what Apple and Google with Android, what Apple with iOS and Google with Android and the email services, Gmail and whatever Apple's thing is called, that the chat GPT, the AI itself will be able to check your email and see if you got the answer. Mm-hmm. You won't even have to have a pause and let the guy check his email.
Not right now, but it will. Yeah.
Right. And within a year, 2 years?
Oh, no, easily a year. Yeah. This is what they're doing right now with the agent stuff.
Yeah. And then the other thing that made me remember was, I think I saw it last week when I was in San Francisco. Is it Bumble? Bumble's the woman-based dating app.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
She was talking about that the future of dating will be your GPT talking to another person's GPT and seeing if they're compatible. And the only thing I'll mention there is that a guy underneath it was like, I don't think you understand the motivation of a guy going on a date if you think that's what's important.
But like everything that's already happened with dating is taking away the things you wouldn't have thought would be taken away. So the idea that would happen is like not that.
No, it's really not. It makes a lot of sense.
So,
yeah, Bryce, I mean, like in some, we have, John, we've created 2 or 3 of our own GPTs, including a Trading with Cody GPT that we uploaded 13 years of my writing into an analysis and then equations and graphics.
Which now a much larger set of people can get to because the GPTs are not just for subscribers. So when you first put that up,
that is correct.
Yeah,
that is correct. Everybody was disappointed. They were like, I don't want to, there was a few people that already had a subscription to Chat GPT.
You got to send out a new message to everybody once this settles in a couple weeks and be like, hey, it's available to all of y'all now.
Bryce, will you put a note in our calendar 2 weeks from now to make sure we check and see if it's free? And then if so, let's send out.
It should be in a couple days, but yeah.
Oh, it'll be a couple days. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Do it for Wednesday. Let's see if it works.
I'd wait to make sure it's out there because they talked about it taking a couple weeks maybe. But
that's amazing. That's a great point, John. And that's another thing that you're getting at, right? You said it a moment ago, but Chat GPT had 100 million people, 70 of which are paying for the better one, 70% of which were paying for the better one. But if now hundreds of millions of people are going to have access, and you've got anybody who's got Anthropic, the rest of them have to become free too. Meta Llama is probably the driver of driving everybody towards a zero price for the consumer.
Yeah. It's and that's where I said I love about the competition. But also now look at this, what we saw in this example. How many customer service jobs are there?
A lot. Bryce, we probably ought to go short that. What is it? 5.9? What's that company that does the call center software?
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah,
it takes a bit to settle in and everything, and you never know about there's weird kind of reversals on things where it's like that you thought that would do this company in, but they figured a way to build it into what they do, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that happens. That happens.
So,
Fossil never figured out how to make their watch smart enough to compete against Apple and Android. Stock went to 99%. But Microsoft figured out how to make how to make Windows relevant in a world where I don't use Windows at any time in my life. And if I do, I'm frustrated.
yes, same here.
One of the things I saw in these videos, and there's one here where a guy's doing math with his son and he's working on homework.
You know who that guy is?
No, I don't.
He's a
Khan
CTO
Academy.
What?
He's the guy who started Khan Academy, Sal Khan.
Oh,
okay.
that's right. Yeah.
So
he's holding up the phone so he can film his son, right, do math on the paper. And there's a few other instances where they're doing stuff like that because it now can live, do basically live video and give you feedback and stuff. But I do think that the phone as a form factor is not as great. It's not the end game. And seeing that just further shows, I think, that what Meta is doing with the glasses and
the Ray-Bans.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg has said this a lot, that the glasses are one of the best, if not the best, form factors out there. And so made me more excited about Meta and Apple because they've got Vision Pro. I mean, I think you're going to see more of that than you are of this.
Hey, Google, translate what Bryce just said into Spanish.
Right.
Oh, wait.
I hope that these Ray-Bans are like just generic peripherals. Like I can go and say, I want to use them with OpenAI. I want to use them with Llama, kind of thing, and just choose what you're doing there. But this is like the thing that this thing does with, and they have enough examples of it that it looks like they're not faking it, that it does with video. It's not like I'm taking a picture and uploading it. It's just like I'm pointing the camera at something.
Yeah.
And that it's like in real time, seeing what you see and, commenting on it and doing stuff with it. One of the guys there in England, and he's got his phone, he's got it pointed at the castle, and it's in that. Here we go.
I'm listening.
No one else is
doing it.
Yeah.
So this guy's in. It's one of those examples. It's there, but the guy's got his phone. He points it at the castle in England, and he says, "Is the king here?" And GPT answers back, yeah, he definitely is, because they only fly that particular flag above the castle when he's in town and so forth. It's like,
yeah, and that's just it. I guess, Bryce, going back to our robotics article from today, and John, what we just discussed with the robotics form factor, these are not robots, but these Ray-Bans are indeed another form factor that AI, like it's the AI talking to an app on your smartphone is cool, but it's going to need to be applied in different form factors to create the tens of trillions of dollars of value. And it's happening. It's going to.
And those other form factors, a couple of them I think just got killed. Rabbit and
the little ones that you were wearing on your shirt.
The Humane AI pin, and then the rabbit, the red thing, and the rabbit are one. Those are like, it's like I'm just going to use my phone if that's what you're giving me. But the Ray-Bans, that's different.
Yeah. And again, what are we? Last question, John. What inning are we in the AI revolution? From someone who's worked in the industry for 30 years, what inning are we in, John?
We're in the 7th inning stretch.
Come on, we're in the fourth, maybe the fourth pitch of the first inning.
No, I'm just trying to. It's the only inning I like is the 7th inning stretch. No, so no, yeah.
Answer.
Well, it's just like the thing today where it was both super cool and disappointing at the same time. And you take your inning example, we're so close to getting something really cool, whether it's this summer or this fall, when we get a GPT-5 or something that has real like agent stuff happening in it, where it starts doing stuff with the web and your desktop, everything for you, combined with the stuff we just already have. You want it to get smarter as well, but that action side of things is, and the other thing they're really focused on is like logic, getting it to where it makes sense and it understands when it doesn't make sense, is that kind of thing. But that's why I say we're really far along. We're really close to getting one of those things, but there's so much ahead of that puts us in the first inning.
Yeah, it would be amazing. Like, last week I was in San Francisco, and on Wednesday night, a buddy of mine picked me up, and he was a hedge fund manager guy. We drove around Palo Alto. He took me out there like where Steve Jobs dropped acid. I didn't drop any acid, but we did go out there and check it out. And it was an amazing event. And I wish I could have had GPT listening to some of our discussions and at the end of it be like, hey, summarize all that for my subscribers and have an article, 2,000-word article highlighting our discussion on robotics and AI, not to mention credit and debt and deficit for the United States, everything we talked about. Put it all in one spot. We had a great discussion, and it's up to me to try to remember that. My brain, it's not like it's not.
I see a fourth square on here within a month or something. Hopefully, the memory thing they introduced it, and it took 4 or 5 months for them to finally make some of that memory stuff happen. But if this thing actually comes out and we can use it, I see it sitting in a conversation with us here.
Right here on this video, we will end up having a GPT helping. Hey, GPT, play that video from Chat GPT on Twitter today.
No, it won't be doing any actions yet, but it'll play back it'll do what you just said, where it's like listening in. They'll go like, what did we not talk about that fits into this? And it'll go, oh, well, you didn't mention anything about blah. It's like, good for you, GPT. Yeah.
John, I appreciate you doing this almost every Monday. We missed a couple of weeks because I was traveling and whatnot.
No problem.
But man, your input is invaluable. I appreciate your friendship for the last 30 years, but I appreciate your insights.
It is fun. So
you've been a good influence on me for many years. Thank you.
God knows you need it.
I do want to make one correction. The Honda thing came out way before I was thinking. I don't believe everything you read on the internet, because they were working on it in the 80s and then released an official thing like in the year 2000. So
I was closer than you. Then 1994 was not that off.
Yeah,
I knew it was out while I was at Psychor. So
hey, Bryce, seriously, I give you a lot of props though. Being on air, being like, hold on, got to make a correction. I made a mistake. That's good ego check right there, bro. Good job. My first boss on Wall Street would tell me there's 3 answers to every question: yes, no, or I don't know. I'll find out.
Andrew Lanye.
You got it. Andrew Lanye. Where's his phone?
And I read that somewhere. I mean, what's the problem with the stinking internet?
Questions of a stockbroker. See this? I remember this stuff from when he was there. How many years ago was that?
I wish I had I had a signed copy of Andrew's book, which I signed. That was one of my jobs, was signing his signature when we sent it out to our investors.
Hilarious, man.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. God bless his soul, man. All right, thank you guys. Rock and roll. We'll see you guys next Monday, 2 p.m. Mountain, 3 p.m. Mountain Time, 2 p.m. West Coast, Silicon Valley Time, 5 p.m. Wall Street Time, and that strip that doesn't matter.
DC,
Texas, and Georgia, and all that stuff. Nobody cares about what time it is there.
Oh, all right. There you go.
Peace and love. Bye, guys.
Catch you later.